Today in our 2018 GMC Acadia, we're going to be installing Blue Oxes base plate kit, part number BX1728. The main components you'll need to complete your flat toe setup are a base plate, tow bars, wiring, and braking system. This base plate is going to allow you to connect your vehicle to your motorhome so it can be towed behind it. It's a permanent option that's going to be installed on the vehicle all the time and be hidden behind the bumper. This is what it's going to look like when it's installed, and it really doesn't make too much of an impact on the looks from the front. So hook your tow bars up to it, hook it up to your motorhome, make your electrical connection for your lighting system and potentially a braking system, and get on your way. Your tow bar will connect to the quick connect arms. These just slide in, turn, and lock into place, and they're compatible with all Blue Ox tow bars. You can purchase adapters here at etrailer.com, so you could also use Roadmaster or Demco tow bars. Also here in the front, you'll have locations to hook up your safety chains, as well as a place to mount a 6-pole connector. This 6-pole connector can also be used for a 7-pole or anything else that you'd like to put there. We'll begin our installation here at the front of the vehicle. We'll open the hood, and we'll need to remove the Torx bolts that run along the cross right here. We'll then remove the 7 T15 Torx sockets that run along the front of our grille here. One of them on the passenger side is going to be located underneath the weather stripping here. You just need to push that aside and you can access it. We're now on our driver's side here in the fender well. You'll find 4 Torx screws that we're going to remove using the same size socket, which is a T15. Once you've got these out, you'll do the same thing on the other side. To get easier access to them, you can turn the wheel all the way to one direction. We'll now need to release the trim molding that goes up above our fender liner here. So we're just gonna get behind that and pop it out of place and just work our way up. We really only need to go up about this far just so we can separate our fascia from it. We'll now peel back our fender liner and remove the 1 bolt located here using a 7mm socket. We'll then repeat that same process on the other side. We're now underneath the vehicle where we're going to need to remove several bolts using a 7mm socket. On each side, located just in front of the wheel, you'll find 3 bolts that need to come out. And then there will be 3 located in the center. You'll then need to peel down the bottom of the fascia and reach up, and you'll find another bolt located up right around in this area. It's pretty difficult to see. You'll see this black panel here. This is bolted up to our bumper beam. So just feel up the top side of this panel on the grille side, and you'll need to remove that bolt once you find it with a 7mm socket. We're now ready to start removing our fascia. We'll begin on one side by pulling outward on the corner here. You just want to release it. We'll then repeat the same step on the other side, pulling it back, looking for any electrical connectors that we may need to disconnect. On our passenger side, after you've popped that panel out, you'll notice that there is an electrical connector here we'll need to release. It's a large connector in here that has a lever that will need to be flipped over. You'll need to take the connector, push the red locking tab back, and then flip it down. Once you've got it flipped all the way down, the 2 connectors will release so you can take your fascia off. We can now take our fascia here in the center. We're gonna tilt it outward and then lift it up off of the tabs here in the center. You'll also need to take the weather stripping here, just separate it. There's some little hooks here you kind of got to pull forward to lift up off of it. We can now set our fascia aside. On our bumper here, we'll need to then trim off this location here so that way it'll be able to fit back on, and here on this side as well. I'm going to go ahead and mark that out with a paint stick. We're going to use our cutoff wheel to just run through that. On the driver's side, right next to our washer bottle, you're going to have a clip that's poked into the bottom of the frame here. We're going to need to pop that out with a trim panel remover tool. just get behind it and pull that on out of there. We're just gonna flip this aside and keep this out of the way as our base plate's gonna go right in that location. We're gonna prepare our hardware real quick because it's gonna be difficult to prepare it while you're getting your base plate in place. So take one of the larger bolts that comes in the kit, slide a lock washer on it. You're then gonna need one of the handle nuts. You'll then wanna place some red Loctite on your bolt. And we're now gonna prepare one more set just like this. We'll now lift it into place. You're gonna need to get your passenger side on first. There's a groove cut out that'll slip over your air conditioning line. You'll slide it up over that line, then push it back. Then you can lift up on your other side to get that side into place. Then you can use a pair of vice grips to hold it into position. We'll then slide our bolt with our lock washer on it that we prepared earlier up through the front of our base plate up into our bumper beam. We'll then take our handle nut. We're gonna need to bend it down to come in contact with the bolt we push through. It's kind of hard to see, so you might want to stick your hand in there just to feel the head to get an idea of how you're gonna need to bend your nut. In the case of this one, we almost need to bend it around in a hook style so we can go in and then come back to contact the nut. And then we'll just thread this into that handle nut. Once you've got one started on each side, the hitch will hold itself into position, making it easier to install the rest of your hardware. We're now going to use a 3/8 drill bit to drill out both holes here and the one hole located here. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. All the holes that we just drilled out are going to use the same size hardware as our bolt we installed here. You're going to use the same size bolt, slide on a lock washer. The lower ones will slide through and attach with a Nylock nut, and the upper hole will use one of the handle nuts just like our other upper bolt. Make sure that you put red Loctite on each of the bolts. You can now go back and tighten down all your hardware. You'll do this with a 15mm socket or wrench. On our passenger side, we're going to need to install our support brace. Prepare your hardware with 2 bolts, 2 lock washers, and red Loctite. You'll then place the support brace around your hose, slide your bolt through both, and secure it on the other side with a locking nut. We're going to do that again with the other hole. We'll then tighten both of those down. Take the U-bolt that comes in the kit. You're going to go around the back side of the frame here. We'll then take the angled bracket. You want to have the round holes located towards the front and the angled holes angled towards the inside of the vehicle and upward. We'll slide that over our U-bolt. Put some red Loctite on our U-bolt. Slide a flat washer on each end. And then attach a locking nut onto each end. We'll then put some red Loctite on the larger bolts that come in the kit. Slide lock washers on them. Those are going to slide through the other side of your bracket. You'll secure those using lock nuts as well. You'll then tighten them down with a 15mm socket. When you tighten down your U-bolt, you want to make sure you go back and forth and tighten it down evenly. You can now go back and torque all of your hardware to the specifications found in your instructions. We'll now cut off all of our excess handle nuts. And I like to use a pair of side cutters, and I just kind of twist it back and forth while squeezing. This is a pretty thick piece to cut. We'll snip all of those. We'll now need to install our safety cables. When you're putting these on, you want to make sure you don't pinch any wires or hoses between the cable and the frame. We're just going to wrap it around there, and it's going to come back and loop right to the connection point here on our base plate. I'm going to take the C-clamp, we're going to open it up fully, slide it through one end of the loop, Bring the other end of our loop around and connect it to the other side. And then you'll tighten it down with a 19mm wrench. You now install that cable in the exact same way on the opposite side. Once you've got your cables installed, you'll want to hold your fascia up and verify that everything pokes through. If it doesn't poke through, you may need to make markings on your fascia and trim it so that everything fits. This is going to be different for each vehicle depending on the style of grille that you may have on yours. And that completes our installation of Blue Ox's baseplate kit on our 2018 GMC Acadia.